Hello, I'm Melissa. I'm from Michigan and I'm in the certificate program for interior design. And today I would like to redeem my paper on Gothic architecture, which lacked a thesis. I now have one, so hopefully in the next few minutes I can demonstrate how the Notre Dame de Paris, which means Our Lady of Paris, isn't just a masterpiece in Gothic architecture, but represents ladies everywhere, representing their allure, their beauty, and their strength. Also, side note, I'm a millennial, so I wasn't sure if I needed to include a trigger warning for my Gen Z friends. There are strong themes of femininity and maybe a brief mention of God. Jumping right into it, the Notre Dame is the apex predator of architecture. She is located in the most visited country in the world. She was the most visited monument in France and one of the most visited monuments in the world up until the fire in 2019. Before the construction of the Eiffel Tower in 1889, her two 69-meter high towers were the tallest in France. Her two 35-meter high stone vaults were the tallest in Europe at the time they were built, and her 12-meter long flying buttresses were the largest throughout the Middle Ages. So along with her incredible beauty and her groundbreaking construction, she is the queen bee of Gothic architecture in the world. So 1,000 years later, to visit the Notre Dame, you have to wait in a super long line for the opportunity and the privilege to be able to step inside her walls, admire her beauty, and then completely forget about her when you leave, but to your detriment, because there is such a peace inside of a temple. Her presence is the sanctuary. And actually, you don't forget about her. She returns to you the impression she made, making you feel small and unworthy because of her sky-high confidence and her divine beauty. Because the outside world can be a shit show, but she reminds you of what is possible with her incredible ideals. And in the same way that the Notre Dame brings beauty to Paris, women bring beauty, joy, and innate purpose to mankind. The truth is, a man would wait in that line all day. A lifetime even. 2 lifetimes, in fact, because it took 182 years approximately to build the Notre Dame, from 1163 to 1345, because everything was built by hand using basic stone tools and basic cranes. But according to ChatGPT, and I feel like this is the perfect instance to use ChatGPT, if the Notre Dame were rebuilt today using modern tools, cranes, and digital planning like AutoCAD, it would take 5 to 15 years. But a man will work with what he has, or in the instance of Notre Dame, he will push his limits to perform like no man has ever performed before in pursuit of his dream lady. Now, every man's dream woman is different, which explains why the Notre Dame underwent some changes along the way, including the adornment of these gargoyles in the mid-1800s. And just like any woman who's experienced one too many c'est la vies in her life, she uses these gargoyles to scare away evil predators with her tough exterior. And also as a rainwater management system to wash away her tears when the world continues to disappoint her. Do better, world. And don't you think those tears are for nothing, because she has endured war, revolution, time, and a devastating fire in 2019. But like any woman, the Notre Dame can endure pain like you wouldn't believe. And no, she did not fall to ruins. She is still standing. But still, she doesn't want to look stressed out. So just like to any woman, to the Notre Dame, upkeep is important. So in the mid-1800s and again in the 2020s, she underwent some rejuvenating cosmetic procedures, including the restoration of 40,000 square meters of limestone to remove 200 years of soot, grime, and lead since this last restoration. Now she's rocking a more light and bright appearance comparable to her youth. She even had her 8,000 organ pipes cleaned out. But perfection isn't required to be beautiful. Just like the human face or the human body, the Notre Dame isn't perfectly symmetrical or square. If you look down her arches, they don't completely line up, and her floor plan's a little wonky. Her left door is a little bit smaller than her right door, but that gives her character and that makes her real. And her best feature, in my opinion, are her rose windows. Just like any woman, you can tell a lot about her by looking into her eyes. And for the Notre Dame, her eyes are the rose windows into her soul. She sees the world through rose-colored glasses, per se, with her feminine. She sees the world through her feminine energy, which is optimistic and whimsical, and she sees the world full of color. The feminine energy of the Notre Dame is also very nurturing. Something that I found really fascinating in my research about how the Notre Dame was built was in the construction of its wooden roof, nicknamed the Forest. It was built from 1,000 oak trees, and the way that they cut down the trees, they were clear cut, which means they left behind the stumps so they could grow back faster, taller, thinner, and straighter, and they could cut them down again after 50 to 60 years of growth. So the area that they needed to deforest was actually only 3 times the size of Notre Dame, which I don't think is that bad. They didn't do that after the 2019 fire, but I mean, I wouldn't want to wait 50 to 60 years to get my top back either. Speaking of Mother Nature, or rather the mother of an important historical and religious figure, while I'm making the connection between the Notre Dame and ladies all over the world, there's one way in which I can't make that connection, and that is the fact that the Notre Dame de Paris was built in the glory of the Virgin Mary, who was virtuous and gave birth to the Son of God, and the rest of us don't even compare. But in the likeness that the Notre Dame is a temple, so is the human body. Both men and women are human temples, and both can create beautiful things. And like we talked about in the beginning of the semester, when I compared the architect and the builder to a choreographer and a dancer, where one is the visionary and one is the executionist, both are required in the complete execution of artistry. So if God is the architect, then mankind is the builder. And so, in conclusion, the Cathedral of the Notre Dame de Paris is a blend of divine design and human effort, a timeless symbol of beauty, strength, and power through resilience and grace. She is stone, she is strength, she is every woman. Thank you.